Okay, I was in the process of doing a crossover seal replacement, and since I'm down in this engine, I decided I would also change out the valve cover gaskets, and I'll leave you the link on the crossover seal replacements, and you can see how I got the car tore down to this point. I don't know if you need to tear anything down or not, but if anything's in your way, like the fuel rail or something like that, you can see how I did that. But anyway, I got the fuel rail off, and I'm going to take this. This is the H valve, I think, for the AC, but I'm going to take the bracket off back here, get that out of the way, and I'll take this secondary air valve off there, get that out of the way. Now, it had a brace on it, which I never reinstalled because it was so difficult to get out. But once I get those out, and then it looks like I'll have to disconnect that O2 sensor, I believe that's what it is. Then I can take out these bolts all the way around. Okay, I got the H valve pulled out of the way. I'm just using a ratcheting wrench. I'll use this for the air valve too. I've already disconnected the connector there, and this one down here. I took the tube off and was able to bend this back and get my ratcheting wrench in there. It's a 10mm. There's 2 nuts. Okay, got that out of the way. The gasket stayed on here. I'm not sure if I'll need a new one or not. I've already replaced that gasket a while ago. Okay, looks like I pulled this pin out. And then I can pull this clip off. There, now I can pull this out of the way. Okay, looks like I need to remove this. I think it's called a coil pack. The Haynes manual says it's important to unscrew the screws in a special sequence. So this is the sequence. So that's what I'm going to do. This is a sequence for retightening them when it's put back together. This picture is of the front one. It'd just be a mirror image for the back head. Okay, for the 4 ignition coil module bolts, I'm just using my breaker bar with a 10mm 6-point. That's just to break them loose. Then just using my Milwaukee ratchet to get them the rest of the way out. Okay, before I try to pull that out, I'm going to zip tie some of these things out of the way. Okay, besides these 4 bolts, there's 4 more down behind. And just using the same wrench. I'm taking the back ones out by hand with a socket and a magnet to catch them. Years ago, I took that bracket for the secondary air valve off and never put it back. It was so difficult. So I had it zip tied to the AC line. So I just untied it and pushed it down in. And then I was able to get the coil out. Okay, the first 3 bolts I took out, I got out fairly easily with this. This fourth one, which is way in the back left corner here, can't seem to fit the wrench in there. I'm going to loosen this bolt down here and this one just to loosen this reservoir so this hose here can get out of my way a little bit. It's another day and I'm out here still trying to get that corner bolt out of the rear valve cover. But I figured something out. I wanted to take this reservoir out to give me some more room, and I didn't know how to get that clip off. Let me show you. It's that heater hose connector right there. And it actually works like a fuel line, and I called Dorman to ask them how that part worked, and they told me that I could buy part number 800-850 Dorman, and that it would release it. And I got to thinking, let me check my fuel line sizes, because I think I got a size in there that fit, and I sure did. I had a 3/4. It's that second to biggest one, and it worked. I just pushed it on there, and it slipped right off. So I got that off to give myself a little bit more room. Look, you learn something new every day. Now that I got that out, I'm also going to cut the bracket that's holding this wire harness, and that'll give me some more room to get in there. Okay, I don't know if you can see this. I didn't have to cut that wire harness. It's just a plug that should come right out. Okay, so I'm working on this bolt. It's the worst one, and I figured it out. And as you can see, I broke it loose. I just got this set up here, and as I turn this around, it's turning that, I think. Okay, I did break it loose. So what I've got here is a 10mm 3/8 drive. And then this is a 3/8 flex adapter. And then I've got a wobble, a short wobble extension, and a medium wobble extension, and another medium wobble extension. That's all I had there. Could have used a long straight. And then just my breaker bar. And it broke loose. Okay, I finally got it. Whew. Let me show you what I did. I took off the breaker bar and I put a ratcheting stubby on there, and you can only turn it about a half a turn, and then you've got to switch the socket. Okay, once the swivel adapter wouldn't go anymore, I would take this off the bolt and then take this off of here and rotate it just 1/4 and put it back on without moving the ratchet or anything. And then once I put this back on the nut, I could turn it, or the bolt, I could turn it another half turn. I just kept doing that till it was loose enough for my fingers, and believe it or not, I could actually fit my hand down in there and turn it by hand. But it takes a very small hand. It's a very tight fit. Okay, I got all those back valve cover bolts out, and I did the rest of them with this ratcheting wrench. It's hard to get a socket back there. The next thing I'll need to do is, I've pushed this back against the firewall. I'm not sure that's enough. If it gets in the way at the bottom of it, about 8 inches down, there's a nut that I can undo, or a bolt, and remove this. I'm also going to take this secondary air tube loose down by the wheel, on the left front wheel. Take the wheel off, and there's a bracket down there I can loosen. Then I can pull this down out of the way. Okay, before I do anything else, I've had this intake in here, and it's been nice to lean on while I was getting the bolts, but now I'm going to take it out. I'm just going to lift it, scooch it over to the right here, and lift it up on the right, and it should pull right out. And look at what I found. A mouse. Little mouse house. This car's been sitting for a couple months, and I hadn't had time to work on it, but boy, that is sure surprising. There you can see the starter, and I'll be doing a video on that too. I'll link that in the description. So I'll try to clean up around here, make sure none of this stuff gets down in there. And let's look at this intake here. So here you can see this tube here, which can go bad, and found out these things don't have PCV valves. They have orifices inside of here that act like a valve. So I'm just going to order a new one of these. Let me take a look. Okay, there's the seals, and they do look like they've been leaking, especially this one right here. This one too looks dirty. Okay, I've covered up the holes so they don't get dirt in for now. I'm just anxious to see if I can get this cover off. So, I tried to start lifting it, and it's caught over here, and there's one more bolt I gotta get out. And you probably can't see it, but it's the bolt holding this engine lift. It's right in the middle of this side. Okay, so I tried to lift it up again, and it's running into this power steering line, and also this stud here. So what I've done is remove the power steering line, and it took a 16 wrench. I used a 16 line wrench, and I loosened this, and as soon as I pulled up, it started leaking a lot of fluid. So I took a baby snot puller, this, and I removed all I could out of here. It was still draining in here, and so also I needed a rag on here, and I got a little bit on my belt, but it comes out of that hose too. Anyway, when I put this on here, I press down a little bit when it sucks it, and then I get more than if I just squeeze it. I'm gonna go ahead and take the 10mm nut off the bracket down there, just because I'm gonna change out this hose anyway. But just removing it from here gets it out of the way. Okay, now that I've got this power steering line out of the way, this thing is a little bit in the way, so probably don't have to, but I'm going to loosen that bolt down there just so I can move that down a little bit. Okay, I actually had to just take the whole thing off. By the way, that little 10mm nut on the power steering line, I just used my box end ratcheting wrench. Don't think there would have been room for a socket down there. It's a real tight fit. Okay, it pulled out really easy, so I'm very happy about that. And this never seemed to get in the way, so I guess I can just leave that. This gives you a bird's eye view of that O2 sensor. Well, the next step, I'll need to be cleaning this up. So I'll do that and get back with you. By the way, I don't know if you can see it, but this was definitely leaking. You can see it on the seal too. One thing I forgot to mention was before I started pulling the valve cover off, I took these spark plug insulators off. I've just finished cleaning the surfaces. I've pulled everything back out of the way. I used the lacquer thinner. It was really good at helping to clean up. It was really hard for me to reach, so I had to climb up in the engine. And I put a towel here to help my knee. When I cleaned this side up, I decided to paint it. I didn't do a very good job, but it looks better than it did. It was black. The kit I ordered came with these new seals. I put a little bit of silicone grease on those, and I did want to say I found quite a bit of grease that was on the back side of this, so this was leaking all along the back and the corners. So I'm getting ready to do just a sample run, try to put this in and see if there's plenty of clearance. The blue tape I have around it is marking spots. When I cleaned this, there was a couple rough places down in that groove, and so I'm going to use some RTV on this side. Okay, I've put this thing in and out about 6 times, and I think I know the best way to do it without messing anything up. I did put, what I'm using is the coil bolts, and it's this one in particular that's giving me the ability to hang on to and set that in there. So I'm going to pull. Okay, I've got this valve cover ready. I've got this gasket put in there with some Mega Black. I've let it dry for an hour on a flat surface. So I'm going to put a little bit of lithium grease on the cams because the car's been sitting so long. And then I'm going to install this. It's set right down in there really nice. So now I'm putting a little bit of silicone grease on just this outside edge so that it doesn't get caught up in that grommet so bad. I'm not putting it on the threads because I don't want to mess up the torque. Okay, I went around and got them all started. I did it like Scotty Kilmore says to do it. He says do 3 rounds of tightening and work from the inside out. I'll try to leave his video link. I've gone around twice. Now I'm getting ready to torque it down. I believe it's 89 inch-pounds. Okay, surprisingly, I was able to get 8 of the bolts with the torque wrench, and the last one I got with this wrench, and that was this one here on the side. And I just did that one by feel, by testing it on one of the others. And so this wrench right here could have maybe gotten that bolt loose at the very beginning. But I still am glad that I bought this tool because that helped me get everything started there in that hard spot. I've got everything cleaned up here and checked for carbon tracking. I didn't see any on the old plugs, and I've put some silicone grease where the connections are, checked the springs inside the boots, and I got everything ready to put back together now. Okay, I got the spark plug boots in, and I've just brought this ignition module in from the right here. I'm going to set it in there and put the bolts in lightly. Okay, I got everything hand tightened, and now I'm gonna tighten them with a wrench. And I'm guessing these are about 89 foot-pounds. I'll leave you the tightening sequence in a picture. Amazingly, I was able to fit the torque wrench. I used these, mostly used this one here. And a couple I used that one on. So that concludes the rear valve cover. I'll be doing the front one too, and when I get it done, I'll leave the corresponding links for everything. Again, I had my intake off and everything, and was doing the crossover seals anyway, so just decided to do this while I was at it. A special thanks to all my subscribers, and thanks to all who've watched. I'm still living here off-grid, and as yet do not have any running water or electricity, but I'm using some solar power and getting some power from Jackery solar generators. When I get a chance, I'll leave some information on my setup there.